the teachers, I believe, are doing their best. And what is the instrument for measuring quality of the teachers? So you shouldn't actually blaspheme the teachers, but you should talk on the issue of how to settle it. So how are we going to settle the whole issue? That is what I want you to talk about, but not to say the teachers, the quality is not. Thank you very much.
Okay. Well, I mean, just before we address, the legality, you are not a lawyer. Yeah. You are an arbitrator and a mediator. So you are able to build bridges between people with seemingly, opposing or conflicting positions and demands, and still work within the law. So the question is, how? That's what Zahir was asking. How do you think this can best be resolved now and for the future as well? And the second question is, what is the status, the actual status of anyone who is on strike in legal terms during negotiation, and how can that issue also be resolved?
The solution is dialogue. And so let me start from section 161 of the law. It's called cooling off period. It basically says that when you're on strike, when you are negotiating, you cannot be on strike. Now, so dialogue is the way to go. How do we dialogue? We have to dialogue based on ground rules that we have already set. I mentioned that the law talks about putting down structures for resolving differences when during the term of the employment relationship, and that is found in section 108 of the law. Beyond that, when there are internal mechanisms for resolving these things, it means that when we disagree, we sit and talk first. Then beyond that, the law says in section 153 that when you have disagreed on something, sit and negotiate that difference. Now, when you negotiate that difference and it doesn't work, then you try mediation, section 154. Then you try voluntary arbitration, section 157. And then you try, beyond that, the Labour Commission now comes in, and if it is still critical, call for what we call a compulsory arbitration in section 164. So there are all these structures available. I am surprised that no one is talking about the the public sector standing joint negotiation committee, which was supposed to be a joint committee of organized labor in the public sector or the public services, as representatives of public sector unions, and then the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, so that all of these things are negotiated at that level. Now, I know also that, for example, the Public Services Workers Union, I believe so, went to court, the High Court, the Labour Court, trying to remove themselves from the standing joint public sector negotiation committee. And they were ordered back to go and negotiate under that umbrella, because the law allows that in sections 101 and 102.
Is the law fair to teachers? If doctors were the ones on strike, we knew by now their grievances would have been solved, writes Frimpong Holy John OC. We've got a caller from Wa, calling us all the way from Wa. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Sorry, I didn't quite catch your name.
Yes, my name is Halim Suleiman Sichimu.
Halim Suleiman, good morning once again. What is your contribution this morning to Sunrise and to the topic?
Oh, yeah. Thank you very much. My contribution is simple. We are talking about the condition of service in the GA. And as a teacher myself, according to the rules, I'm supposed to teach maximum 40 to 45 people in a class. Now, any additional people I'm teaching is an essence baggage. Except I should be paid for that particular essence baggage. And you can imagine somebody being in class teaching as many as 120 students in a class. I mean, how do you want me to put up my best? So we are saying that improve the services for the teachers, so that if I'm teaching a class of 150 students, that essence package I should be catered for. That is what we are talking about.
Good point. Thank you very much. And I'm glad that we've got a call from a teacher calling us all the way from Wa. And Kofi Asari Busby says, well, I think teachers are not being given the appropriate room for even expressing their views. How would you bridge these differences that our callers and those that are posting to us express?
That is the problem. That when employees talk, you've got to have a listening ear. You've got to have a person in charge of listening, someone, and those are the government agencies, because government works through agencies. For example, the Ghana Education Service, must have a system of listening to grievances from the teacher unions.
That's very good. That's very good. Listen to grievances, maintain dialogue. But Kwame Miki says, Eric, tell the man that the government also sometimes, practices this in an unlawful way. They have failed to meet us several times. And Joshua Forey says, this is very serious. If the people who teach us to become doctors, lawyers, presidents, bank managers, etc. are not well paid, and then are asked to go back or to remain in the classroom in this case, don't you think that they will feed our students with bad materials? But consider that whilst we speak to Amanda from Sukura. Good morning, Amanda. Good morning, Amanda.
Good morning. I want to tell you something about that because my friends are all in the house. Why don't the government pay them so that they can go to school? That's what I want to say.
Very good. So it looks like there is a lot of pressure on the government, both as a regulator and an employer. So you've got a player referee. Is there a problem there?
There's no problem, because the role of government as employer is spelled out in the law. Eric, this law was negotiated by the three major stakeholders. It is about the only law that was negotiated as though it is a transaction. Now, the stakeholders who negotiated it raised the bar, and I believe and I want to be sure that they knew what they are doing. Now it has come to implementation, and there are implementation problems. Everybody seems to be right because they have a case. Everyone else seems to be wrong because they are not using the right fora, the right mechanisms, the right principles to resolve it. The issue is that we have to talk until we resolve the issue. And while we are talking, you cannot be in the street. It's as simple as that. Now, when it comes to massaging egos.
Wait, just slow down a minute. Senor, are you implying here that the representatives of the teachers are not really doing what they should be doing in terms of maintaining effective dialogue and addressing outstanding issues?
Exactly. And there is a threat there to the whole single spine salary policy. Why? Because when the GUSS was introduced, it was also a very good policy. Unfortunately, such strike actions and disagreements ended up having the government arm twisted to remove some people, like the doctors, like the health services and so on, outside of the general pay policy. And that is the same road we seem to be walking. So I am saying that the attitude to strike, the attitude to get it at my own time, or as soon as I say it, I should get it, without being ready to apply the law, to sit and dialogue, and to get assistance and help to be able to do that, then we are in trouble, because then the single spine pay policy will go down the drain.
And you know who is in the deepest trouble? The students.
The students.
Prince Batigo says, is it a crime to attend a government school whilst my friends are studying? I am at home. What recourse to compensation or other method of justice do students and their parents have in this?
I believe that students can go compel their teachers to go back to the classroom.
How can students compel their teachers to
students can get representatives and go and get an order from court to get their teachers to go back to the classroom. Why? Because they have paid for the service.
You think students can sue teachers?
I believe so. I mean, it is done elsewhere. Why can't it be done here? I believe so, because If nothing can compel them to go back to the classroom, then the hand of the law must push them back. But let us not get things wrong. The teachers have a case. They have issues to be resolved. Those issues have to be resolved without further delay. However, I am saying that they can also not be out there agitating while efforts are being made to resolve their issues.
Interesting topic. Unfortunately, we've run out of time for this segment on Sunrise this Monday morning. Well, embarking on strikes has been a tool of labor agitation in Ghana. In the past, strikes were common with blue-collar jobs. Of late, nurses, doctors, and teachers appear to be leading the league table of worker strikes in Ghana, and teachers from primary to tertiary levels have used strikes as bargaining tools to demand certain benefits. I've been talking to Senyo Agyebeng. He's an adjunct lecturer at GIMPA and a labor mediator and arbitration expert, and he's been trying to share his ideas with me and with you on how best we can act and what we need to do exactly in order to resolve these outstanding issues as fast as possible.